r/ask Reddit. How did your high school crush turn out as an adult? I don't know about you guys, but I had way too many crushes in high school. LOL. I read the post title and thought up, which one? His friend murdered him over a girl. She ended up dating and marrying the guy who bullied me all through middle school and high school. They seem like a functional family from what I see on social media. You were 2 murders away from being Snape. My English teacher still looks fine as duck. Mine was ancient back in 1985. If she's still around now, she must be a vampire. God bless you, Mrs. Cunningham. You put up with me, tried your best, and I still turned out shit. Hedge fund manager with a trophy wife. Does he own the Mets? He used to, but then he shorted GME. My high school ex randomly sent me a text years after we split up that went, "I know you don't like metal, but I thought you'd like this," and a link to a clarinet cover of a metal song I played in HS. Little did he know that I hated playing clarinet and I was now a total metalhead. The circle of life. I briefly worked with mine and didn't realize it was her until I left for another job. She looked almost unrecognizable, but it was 15 years after I last saw her. She's married with a couple of kids now, so pretty standard life, I guess. My only GF in high school was my crush. Her mom banned her from dating me after about a year because my GF admitted to her mom that we were fooling around. This was about 20 years ago. She's still living with her mom, no kids, and as far as I know never again dated seriously after her mom broke us up. Still has the same job from high school too. It's like her mom went way into protective overdrive and my former GF never grew up. Still hot AF. You just made me remember how I feel when I have crushes. Thanks for the memories. Still a 10 for looks. I'm sure she kept on as the amazing, kind person she is. She moved to another country, speaks multiple languages, and is more successful than I imagined. She seems happy, but we haven't talked since the time I told her how I felt about her about 20 years ago. Went on to be a teenage model for hair products. Graduated from Yale. Toured Europe. Opened her own successful ceramics company that is sold worldwide and is often written up in magazines. Makes me feel like shit every time I think of her. Was it really a crush if it doesn't make you feel like shit? Well, if your crush turned out to be a terrible person, you could comfort yourself by saying that you dodged a bullet there. Hot douche who doesn't really do much except go to the gym. To be fair, that's how he was in high school. I just liked it back then. She ended up getting knocked up by a freshman shortly after we graduated. A college freshman or a high school freshman? D. High school. I was a freshman and had a crush on a senior. To add to it, she was a cheerleader and her brother played QB for the football team and got a college scholarship. She showed up at a football game a couple of years later with a baby in tow. She's married now and back in her hometown. That's about all I know. I thought you were going to say the brother had something to do with that baby. Dead by 32. Drugs. My first high school crush who sat next to me in freshman year English was a really cute punk rock girl, and she's gone on to become an incredibly hot fitness model. One I don't keep track of at all. I'm not sure what she's up to. The other I married. She turned out awesome. Blink twice if you are being held hostage. Going to an all-boys school sucks for having realistic crushes. However, ran into one of the teachers years later and she still looked bellissima. I went to an all-girls school. Crushes were desperate and far between. She's still hot, successful and wealthy entrepreneur, and married someone with the same first name as me and who quit his job to brew beer. I crushed on her for a bit. Didn't think she was interested, so I dated others. Then come to find out she crushed on me senior year. I was too dumb and blind. We connected freshman year of college. She wrote me letters, and by the time I wised up she had moved on. No one to blame but myself. He's doing good for himself. He's grown emotionally, has a seemingly healthy relationship with a longtime girlfriend, and is working healthfully on all his career and personal goals. I hope that if someone ever had a crush on me, this would be their description of my current status. Hahaha. Found her on Tinder. She said I was hot. Pointed out that I was that loser she used to know in high school. Had a big laugh. Been a little over a year. Now we send each other memes and hang out occasionally when the pandemic isn't being a beach. Mine was my best friend. She turned out to be a pedophile. She always liked younger guys. Like when she was 17 she had a 13-year-old boyfriend, which was weird, but we were kids and I didn't think about it much. Turns out she continued to like younger teens as she grew into her 20s and 30s. She passed away our senior year, 6 months after she agreed to marry me after we graduated. My friend's high school crush was Tom Holland, like they went to the same school. I had 3, 1 from the first 2 years and 2 from the last 2. The first one is now F2M trans, who walked to Colorado to join a cult commune. He is now in Arizona recording rap albums. The second girl moved to Florida and lives in a swamp. She periodically hits me up to tell me she misses me. How dumb I was that I didn't follow through. That we should get married. The third was a missionary. She wasn't really into it once she grew up. Came back home and I introduced her to one of my closest friends. They've been married for 15 years. 0/3. I never made a move in high school. About 7 years after graduating, I saw her on social media and said what the hell and asked her out. We've been dating for about 2 years and I'm about to pop the big question. Wishing you both the best. They both ended up as great guys. One has a huge family and is a minister. The other only has 1 child and is a college professor. Both married nice people and are happy. They were really good guys in high school and ended up being really good adults. I've got both of them on Facebook and we keep in touch peripherally as we stayed friends over the years. Found out she was fat and unattractive. Then I realized I was too. Very well. He joined the military and served for a number of years, was in after Vietnam and out before the Gulf War. So I'm not sure if he actually saw much active duty, and then settled in Korea where he trained in Taekwondo and did a lot of professional fighting, and won a lot of awards. Attained the rank of Grandmaster and returned to the US and opened a very successful school that specializes in TKD and Hapkido. Has opened additional locations, and is currently looking to open one in our old hometown. I imagine that will happen post-COVID. I had several. One of them is still a close friend, and he became a primary care doctor. He also officiated my wedding. I have no idea what happened to another one. We didn't really have overlapping friend groups and she doesn't do social media. One of them is a math professor now, so that's pretty cool. My biggest crush in high school was my longtime neighbor, but it also fizzled out pretty quickly after we went to homecoming together. We're still good friends, and our families still keep in touch. He's also the guy who introduced me to my husband. I had a few in high school. One ended up moving away after sophomore year and no one knew why. She reached out to me when I had a mental breakdown online and said that she could understand what I was going through. Some ducked up shit happened to her, though she never said what specifically. I didn't ask further because it wasn't my business to pry. I'm not sure how she is now. Another got super hot after high school and she did a degree in science. Again, not sure where she is now, but I think she's doing alright. And the third works at a bank. We ended on bad terms. Partially my fault. I found out she was making fun of me behind my back and had done so for months beforehand, so I sent her an angry message. Haven't seen her since then. Still cute as heck. One of the kindest and most sensitive people I know. And still one of my best friends 15 years later. He's also recently divorced. His wife was gay but needed time and support to come to terms with it, and now he and I are slowly testing the waters. What started as a crush has matured into a deep and rich friendship, and, however it may unfold, I'm so grateful to have that relationship in my life. She was aware then, over 30 years ago, but it was unrequited. We've been in casual contact through Facebook for the past several years, and once before that my wife, at the time, and I had her and her husband over for dinner. From what I can tell, she's grown into a person I probably would have been happy with. It's nice to see my high school perspective got a few things right. I think we'd be good friends if we lived closer. She appears to be living a good life with her husband and family. With my second wife, I'm happier than I could have ever imagined. Life worked out well. Back when I was younger and crushing hard, I got on AOL Instant Messenger and had gotten my crush's screen name from a friend. I worked up the nerve to start a conversation with him, and soon after some awkward small talk he sent me a message in Comic Sans, black background, red lettering, and in French. I then went to Google for translation and found out he had just called me a pig, in French. Being a seemingly awkward and chubby teenager, I was literally crushed. The heartbreak was only made worse by remembering that a few weeks prior I had selected to take French class the next year and couldn't change it. Years later, now that I've blossomed, he follows me on every social media platform. Has reached out a couple of times to try and flirt, hang out. Hard pass. I believe he's moved away and is a teacher now. She married some idiot and had my babies. I hope you can get your babies back. Best of luck. I remember walking up to her and asking if we could talk in private, and she said you can say what you need in front of everyone. Her group of friends were all around. So I asked if she wanted to go on a date. She burst out laughing and said yeah, number. Shit was rough, man. Looked her up last year and she's a cage fighter now. What? I met her in 1987. We got married 5 years ago. We used to go to the same punk shows. That's where met. Harvard, degrees in writing and medicine, became a leading surgeon in a major city. Extremely proud of her, always had her on a pedestal, I guess with good reason, man shrugging. Divorced with 2 kids. I took her and her kids to lunch after meeting her in a mall one day. I hadn't seen her in over 10 years. We caught up on small talk and I asked the kids if they were hungry. They said yes. I just wanted to spend more time with my crush. After lunch I asked if I could see her again. She laughed at me and said I could never go out with someone like you. She said the exact same thing to me in high school. Doubt that's my life. I'm not good enough for anybody. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.